Hi and welcome to another review, and today we're having a look at a Bachmann model, as you can see on the box. And today we're having a look at a brand new release loco that's only just been released a few days now, and it is the 3200 Earl class locomotive, also nicknamed the Dukedog. That's because these used boilers from the former GWR 3252 locomotives, and they were basically bolted onto GWR Bulldog class frames. If you don't know what a Bulldog locomotive was, it was basically a similar sort of thing to the City class. But I'm not going to go into any history lesson on the Bulldog class locomotive because it's not really important here, and it's not what we're looking at. The 3252 Duke locomotive, however, which this uses the boiler of, was actually similar to this. There are differences, the main one of course being not using Bulldog class frames. Now Bachmann have released 3 of these. This one came from Hereford Model Centre, which is the first from, it's the first for me buying a product from there, and it cost £110, which, comparing it to the £118 price that this one normally costs, that's actually cheaper. Well, this price was anyway. And it's in GWR green. Now look at that, that just looks absolutely stunning. She's also the second GWR green locomotive I have. The first one was the Dean Single, because all the other GWR locomotives I have are either in BR black or BR Brunswick green. I do plan to get other GWR green locomotives, such as the 8750 pannier tank. I want that in GWR green, as well as the 64XX. I was going to consider getting that in BR Lighting green, but I'm going to go for GWR green now, when it gets released. The Prairie tank, the plan is to get that in London Transport Maroon livery, but not unless I decide to get more accustomed to the GWR green and go for that one instead. But for now I'm sticking with the London Transport Maroon for the Prairie. And I do plan on some other GWR green locomotives too. I mean, they also have done a BR black one and a BR black one weathered, but there's just something about this GWR green livery that looks nice on the locomotive. Now, it came in the post on Tuesday of this week, and I've only just got around to opening it up because I had to find the perfect time to look at it. Because today it is nice and sunny outside, but it is a bit breezy and it is a bit chilly. But if it's tapping it down the rain heavy, then I'm not going to do it, because obviously it'll be bouncing off the garage roof and I don't want that. And if it's snowing, well, obviously not. I actually don't know about snowing. I mean, it's not that it'll make the tip-tapping sound on the roof, we're just having to be walking through the stuff. But anyway, so what have we got? We already know what we've got. We've got 31087 DC, GWR 3200 class Dukedog, or Earl, because these were all named after Earls, and it's 9003 or 9003, whichever you prefer to say. And it's GWR green and it's DCC on board. That's interesting. But anyway, let's get it open and see what it's like. So it's the usual packaging for Bachmann, the new packaging. So here is the box sleeve, and you get the brief history on the back. They were all built at Swindon Works, of course, and they were designed by Charles Collett. Well, when it came to the rebuilt ones anyway. 30 were rebuilt, so I'm guessing only 30 were made in total. And they were all named after Earls. Well, of course I've already said that, haven't I? And one of these is preserved, which is 9017 Earl of Berkeley on the Bluebell line, which is currently painted in BR black. In fact, that is one of these that Bachmann have made. And I have seen the Sole Survivor 4 times, mainly its GWR green livery. I saw it once in its BR black livery, which was in 2009, And that's basically another reason why I went for the GWR green, because it looks so nice and beautiful as well. Because it looks a bit better than the black, I think. So I just put the box sleeve down on the floor. Now, even only down to this stage, you can still see how stunning the model is. Just look at that. Even though she's trapped inside this ice packaging that loads of people like to call it. Okay, so the plastic shell out. So we'll just take away the box, case. And so we get all this paperwork. So what's this? Oh, it's just this thing from the Hereford Model Centre. Interesting. And then we get all this other paperwork, which I should imagine is going to be the usual. So we get this DCC decoder with 21 pin connector. Ah yes, it's actually fitting the DCC decoder in it, from looking at the instructions. Then we get this, which are the instructions for this locomotive, which is the body assembly, and if you lose any parts, you can send off for them. And these are the first instructions I've got for this loco, and on the back you have running in, the body shell removal, lubrication, etc. And you also do get putting on the details as well. Then we have the warranty service, the product maintenance and care, then the product warranty on the back, and the collectible flyer. So it's all in one big piece of paper instead of separate ones like they used to do. Right, so now all we have to do now is to get the plastic shell off, or case, whichever. Then we get this bag of details. Now the first thing I can see is this. What is it? Is that the chip you get with it? I really have no idea. You also get the brake rods, or well, a brake rod in this case. You do get, well, you get a few locomotive tools in there. You also get a screw and a chain link coupling, or two, and that is for DCC, for the sound. Because Bachmann are putting this in a lot of models now these days. And that there, that curious bit of plastic, I've got no idea what it's for. So if we come back to the instructions, well, my only guess is it could be something to do with a tender. We'll have to look at that later. So for now, we'll put them aside. Then we'll just take off the plastic top and gently lift her out. And we'll close this back up, we might as well. I mean, I'm not too fond of the new Bachmann packaging, but there we go. Okay, so the first thing is the tender is connected to the loco, which is something that Bachmann are doing a lot these days, and so to make it easy for me to hold, I'm going to disconnect the tender from the loco. So I'll be back in a tick. Right, I'm back, and as you can see, I have disconnected the loco from the tender. Now, it is actually more easier to do with the 4F from Bachmann, because with the brake rod not fitted under the tender, you can take it out more easy. However, when pulling the wires out from under the tender, you've got to watch the contacts under here, because they can catch, but I'm just pointing that out. But it is easier to remove than the Bachmann 4F one. Now, before I go any further, I'd just like to say that I have cancelled my pre-order from Hatton's on the 71000 Duke of Gloucester from Hornby. That's, well, you could partially say it's down to the fact that we don't know when we're going to get the stuff now, because they are delayed quite often. But also I seem to have changed my mind about owning a 71000 Duke of Gloucester recently, because having seen the Hornby Clan class locomotives and they look phenomenal, I'd like one of those instead, rather than owning a Duke of Gloucester. Plus, the models these days from Hornby, well, not all of them, but some of them have come in from rough treatment. Because some people have mentioned that when they've received the models, there's been several bits fallen off, and that is actually quite scary. And also, with the 71000 Duke of Gloucester, when you first look at them, they do look quite nice, but then on close perspective, you can see that they've got moulded handrails on the smoke deflectors and moulded smoke box door handles, whereas all the other handrails, especially the ones in the boiler, have been put on separately. So it really is quite weird. But so when I cancelled the pre-order, I decided to get this, because I have been wanting a Dukedog since they were first announced, especially when I saw the engineering samples. I thought, wow, they're going to look ace. And then when they were finally released, I thought, yes, I must buy one. And so I did. And I think I took the right gamble here. So, we'll start with the loco first. Now, the reason why I disconnect the locos from the tenders all the while is because they're easier to hold and easy to get at the detail. Okay, so, first of all, well, it's this front bogie. It does turn nearly all the way around. I'd say it does about a 180-degree turn. So you've got to watch out for that, especially when you're holding it and putting it onto the tracks. Now, the loco is also very heavy, which is what we need, because we do need weight in these models, because it needs to pull things. We do have the, as you can see, that's where the tender connects to the loco, and that's the little socket. I would prefer it if Bachmann did it disconnected already, so you can connect it later like what Hornby do, but we can't have everything our own way, can we? There's nice rivets on the cab though, which is really nice. There's even rivets on the running board, as you can see, especially on the running frame there. And that looks really nice. You've got some nice sand gear there as well as these cab steps. There's nice detail on the bogie as well, with rivets, axle boxes and springs. And also there's an M socket at the front there, with a coupling you can remove. You do also have sprung oh no, you don't have sprung buffers on this one. They're not sprung. But it doesn't really matter to me, because I don't really have much of a care for sprung buffers anyway. I suppose that could be because of the design, because the design of the buffers are weird. As you can see, they're different to the usual ones. If the camera can just focus, there we go, you can see the buffers are a different shape. But again, the sprung buffers thing, it doesn't really matter to me. You get a brake pipe at the front there, already added, as well as the number there, 9003, which is already printed on the buffer beam. You get some nice lampines there as well as this detail, if we can just get at it, which is here. If you can just put it into shot. Now, I don't know what this detail is, but it's there and it's really nice. I think it could be some sort of steam pipe, but I'm not too sure. Again, you have more rivets on the running board. You have the accurate Bulldog class frames, especially with the accurate style side rods, and the wheel arrangement, which is 440, because there's 4 wheels at the front, 4 in the middle and none at the back. There's more cab steps here, as well as the brake rods that are already fitted to the loco. Oh no, they're not. Oh no, yes they are. They have different brake pipe rods than the usual standard ones that you would expect. So that's quite different. I must say, when handling the model, you've got to be careful of the side rods, because of the position they're at, if you know what I mean. There's also some nice rivets on the cab sides there as well as some handrails there at the back, and there's a handrail on the top. Then there's the running number, 9003, which is printed on the cab sides, of course, as you would expect. Then there's a spring there, which is accurate. The green livery is spot on, just look at that. It really does look ace. Then you have the nice typical GWR safety valve there with the whistles at the back. And you have a nice big dome, which is green. Just what I like. And there's 5 metal handrails running down the side there and curving up the front of the smoke box, as you would expect. There's another lamp on the top, as well as the rivets on the smoke box. And the chimney, just look at that. You have a turned brass chimney cap, which is really nice. You could add a smoke generator unit if you wanted to, but I'm not going to bother. And there's another small handrail there. Oh. Now for the smoke box door, you have this detail here, which is really nice. Not too sure what that is, it could be a handle of some sort. As for the smoke box door handles, they're put on separately and not moulded. Now, as for the smoke box door, does it open? I don't know. There's only one way to find out. No, let's be more sensible here. It's not Harry Hill. Let's get this little needle and we'll just lift it in between the smoke box. Very carefully, because I certainly don't want to damage this model, especially because it's a new one, but then I don't want to damage my models full stop. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to have an open smoke box door. I was just wondering. It doesn't look like it does have one. Nah, it doesn't open. At least from not how I can try and open it. I mean, it does look like it does, but it doesn't. So it does look like it does, but it doesn't. If that makes any sense. Well, this bulb is now stuck in this place now. Yeah, that is a problem with this front. Oh, there we go. That is a problem with this front bogie. It's happily free to turn around like that. So just be careful, because you certainly don't want to damage it. And as for the smoke box door, it doesn't really need to open, but I was just curious if it did. But it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because at least it's there. And so on the other side we have these, which are more lamp irons, but what occasionally people do, if you see them in reality, they rest the lamps on the running board, and so them lamp irons are there for the reason that they don't fall off at speed, which is really good. You have some more rivets as well. I mean, you get loads of rivets on this model, which is accurate to the real thing, and it really does look nice. You get more handrails as well. Again, the running number and another small handrail. And another spring there on the wheel arch. And there's even rivets on the wheel arches as well. Or wheel splashes, as people like to call them. And also, look at that. The cab detail, it's painted. Now, the inside of the cab is not painted cream, but it's painted green. Ha, that rhymes. You have a nice footplate there as well, especially with the wooden style cab floor. But everything there is painted, the regulator, the dials, the gauges, the pipes, the turning wheels, the speedometer, everything. And that really does look nice. And then of course you've got glazing in the two front cabs there as well, in the windows, which is a nice touch. So wow, so far she's a stunning model. And as for the front coupling, I won't remove it because I've just thought of an idea. I could double head this with my Dean single. Now that would look really great, especially you have two Victorian styled steam engines. In fact, I could easily double head this with some of my other GWR locos. So I'll leave that front coupling in there because, you know, she's got to make a living on the layout, hasn't she? But wow, so far What a great model. One thing I will say is it would have been nice if they had some nameplates on it, because all these Dukedog locomotives were named, but you know, you can buy them from Fox Transfers. But it's not really too much of a problem, but it really is quite a surprise though. And it's probably the first from Bachmann to do that as well. So now we'll move on to the tender. So here we have the collet style tender in the accurate GWR green with the GWR logos. As you can see there, you have some rivets on the tender. There's not too many rivets, but you still have some. Then there you have a water scoop, as you can see, to pick up water from the troughs. Well, in those days it would. And there's tender pickups in there, and that's where that little plug fits into. And you have some more footsteps as well as axle boxes and springs and some rivets, and that's where the brake rods go into. Again, you get another coupling at the back and the buffers that are not sprung, and a brake pipe and rivets on the buffer beam, as well as some more handrails here and some more detail on the back, which I think is really nice. And that is where the water goes into, which is really good, and you do get some rivets on the top here as well. And the faceplate to the tender, there are some painted bits in there, mainly the handles, but that's about it. And then you get this detail in here, which I'm not too sure what it's for, but it's there, like it should be. And the core, it is removable, because I discovered that off camera. Thing is that I don't want to damage the model. I won't remove it fully. I mean, it is a metal coal load, and it actually does seem to add a fair bit of weight to the model. But you can see that it is removable, because it's free to rattle around, and you can easily lift the needle up under it. I mean, get this other detail as well across there, and I don't want to damage that either. So I'll leave the metal coal load in, and I might scatter some real coal on the top. I don't know yet, but we'll see. And you have this detail in here. If you can just come on camera focus, there you go, which is really nice. And I do like the coal load because it is fairly high to that point. It is a bit hard to remove, but then it doesn't really bother me. But I'll keep that in there. I might, like I said, just scatter my real stuff on, I don't know. The only thing is it might make it a bit too high. So I think I'll probably leave that. And you get some more rivets on the side of the tender. Pardon. And you get some nice handrails there as well, as you can see on both sides. So all in all, I think it's a great model. The only thing I can say about it, it would be nice to have, well, apart from the nameplates, which isn't really much of a major problem, it's just a surprise, but the only thing I can say about it is this front bogey wheel, like how it turns. Because it can be a little bit irritating, especially if it catches on something, so you've got to be careful with that. But other than that, she's still a fantastic model. But all we need to do now is to connect the tender back to the loco and get her running. But before I do that, I need to put the camera on charge, because I can see that the battery is low. So I'll do that first. Right, well, it's been quite a while now. Well, to you it'll be like seconds, but it's actually been hours in my case, trust me. That is because, off camera, I have had one or two issues with this model. Right, well, the first issue I had was this. Now, this is a 12-pin DCC decoder. That little decoder you saw in the bag was the blanking plate, and this was pre-fitted at the factory in the tender. Now, this was affecting the locomotive's running because when it was going at fast speeds, it would suddenly accelerate to slow, and if it was running at slow speeds, it would suddenly accelerate to fast. Also, when running the locomotive forwards, it was suddenly start going backwards before going forwards again. Kind of like as if it was dancing, if you know what I mean. And so I went online and I found out that this was the cause of the problem. So I took that out and put the blanking plate in, and now it runs a lot better. Also, the next problem... Oh, I just knocked over a car then. Now, the next problem I had was the second and last problem was the screws, which there's two here. Well, there's one there, there's one on the other side, and there's another one there, and there's another one on the other side. If the screws were not screwed in properly, they would catch on this tender wheel here, so the wheel wouldn't move, and it would cause the locomotive to not be as strong as it is now. Like, it would struggle, especially on straights, and so because of that it would affect its pulling power, meaning it couldn't pull these coaches, let alone even two or even one. So that problem's sorted, and now the locomotive is running like a dream. I still recommend this model, but we've just got to watch out for those problems. Some people have complained about the boiler being 2mm higher than what it is in reality, but to me it doesn't look like any different. Besides, in reality I don't go around measuring the boilers. But I still think it's a great model. We've just got to watch out for those problems. I think I'm going to have to get the City class now, which is what I'm considering, because I think it would look really good running alongside the Dukedog and the Dean Single, which is another Victorian-like steam locomotive, because you've got to be honest, this does have a Victorian appearance to it. And it's been pulling these three coaches. This one, a GWR Colic coach, which I will have a full rake of soon, and these two Calorestries, or Clestry coaches, whichever you prefer to call them. I think they're called Calorestry coaches. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but there you go. I'm not going to bother taking the coaches off, because I'm just going to run out as she is with the train on, so I don't have to add it on later. Okay. So now let's get her running. Right, sorry about the rain, I can't help that. I mean, it was alright earlier on, the weather was really good, but you know, it's gone a bit horrible. But back to the loco, she's running really well. She's running a lot smoother than last time. There's no grinding noises or anything. Just look at the side rods turning. Just get a zooming shot of them. And there she goes, running around the bend. Now look at that. She can make it. She will need lubrication, but she can do it. And of course you've got the drag on the coaches with the hill. But you know, lots of model railways have hills. Okay, so we're back at the bend. And you can see this time she's got round absolutely fine. So there she goes under the station. Past the signal box. Over the foot crossing and through the tunnel, where 2189 is waiting for its next turn of duties. And then she's just about to appear out the other end. There she goes, over the crossing and under the bridge. This is like being on Top Gear, this is. And then passing the class 121 that has been detailed. I was going to do a small video on this, but I didn't bother in the end. But it has been detailed, and it is more detailed now than what it was before. And I've added details such as sprung metal buffers. I know I've often said that they are only for play and I don't have much care for them, but it was more of an experiment type of thing to see how sprung buffers could be added on a model. And now glue's been added. You've also got various other details as well. But there is a blog post website. There is a blog post on my blog website, if you want to check it out, which I will link in the description. So here comes the Dukedog again. You've got to admit she is a fantastic model. There she goes. Yes, she's got round the bend. Look at that. Now, one thing I have noticed with this 12-pin decoder, it definitely made the model go a lot faster. Because before, it was like Usain Bolt with her. It was basically impersonating an 040. But that's about the right speed. I mean, look at that. She's now doing really well. Well, she was doing well before, but you know what I mean. But she's doing better than last time, fast speeds, I'll be honest. And if you can just get a close-up shot of them side rods going round. Look at that. They're flying around there. I can't chase around all the time, obviously, because of various things in the way. Yeah, she can get round the bends easily. So, to sum up the model, I still think she's a stunner. I definitely recommend you get one of these. Especially if you're into your GWR engines. This, I will point out, if you do get this model, or have her, just be careful of this, because it will affect the running. Because this model has already been ran in. It's just that, if you get this and don't have DCC, you will have to take this out and put in the blank in place. This will go on for sale on eBay, by the way, because I have no intention to use it because I don't have DCC, so it's no good to me. That rhymes. And so here's some of the other details that have been opened, some of which will go on the model, some of them won't, such as these fire irons, because I just don't see how you can fit them on, really. The brake rod will go on the tender at a later date. These chain link couplings may go on, I'm sure I can fit them in, though on recent models from Bachmann, such as the 4F and the Class 37, I've been unable to get them in. Which is fantastic. And yes, that was sarcasm. I have no idea what this detail is, so I have to look in the instructions. And I don't know what these are either. But anyway, that's all for me from there. I apologise for the auto train being here. It's got a pannier in it. It's a push-pull auto train. But either way, that's not important right now. So, thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Any questions? You know where the comments is. If you do want to ask me a question, of course. So that's all for me from now, so it's goodbye and I'll see you again soon.